So can you tell me how did you got started with Airbnb or short-term rentals?
Yeah, so I've been in the real estate investing space since 2016, and I was doing kind of fix and flips and some long-term rentals. And then when I started looking at the numbers, I realized that I could double or triple my revenue on a place if I would do a short-term rental on it. So I decided to kind of just dip my toe in it and try it out on a couple places, and it worked out really well.
And how did you find out about Airbnb and short-term rentals?
I was using them myself when I travel, so I knew that there was a big community out there that was kind of bypassing hotels and doing more of a live in the city, experience the city rather than just go to the tourist side of things.
And did you already own those properties that you started renting on Airbnb?
So I was in the middle of a couple rehabs, and one of them is by an amusement park in Tampa here. So I thought I'm going to try that one out first. So as I was rehabbing it, I kind of switched because I was going to do a long-term rental, and I thought, you know what, I'll just furnish this place and try it out. And that was about 6 months ago. So I've been in this space for about 6 months, and it's going very, very well.
And how was your experience just getting started, like the first month? How was it?
Well, initially, I decided to hire management to take care of all the cleaning and the scheduling and all that. But I wasn't really happy with the lack of transparency. Like, I wasn't getting good financial statements. I wasn't getting told that either things were missing at the property or things were not going right or there was going to be claims. And I just wasn't happy with it. So I decided to take it back myself and start learning how to do it myself. So I got, all the software that you needed to run it. And I still feel like I'm learning something every single day. So I'm definitely, not a perfect expert at it by any means, but I'm learning from the experience.
And if you don't mind sharing this, which were your main problems, like main problems that you had with that one property management that you decided to hire for the first time?
Well, it was a couple things. So I mentioned the lack of transparency. So she initially wasn't, I don't know what she was using software wise, but I wasn't getting detailed reports showing that people stayed in the property. I charge extra for pets. I knew through cameras that pets were staying in there, but yet that fee wasn't coming back to me. Things were either getting stolen or broken. They weren't being relayed to me that was happening. So, I felt like I didn't have any control over what was going on, and the numbers just were not good because I knew that I should be making more than what was being given to me. And then once I took it back, I realized my numbers just tripled.
And what were the steps that you took when you started managing it yourself to manage it the right way and get the amount you were projecting?
So what I did, my first step was to find software so I could automate as much as possible. So I did, quite a bit of research on it, and I ended up going with Guesty for my management software, and then I used Price Labs for pricing. So that really takes care of all the pricing and communication. The Guesty is definitely not perfect. It's got issues as well. Their customer support, I would say, is very poor. You can't talk to anybody. If you have an issue, you have to put in a ticket, and it could be 2 to 3, maybe even 4 days before you get a response. So that I'm not happy with. It is expensive as well, but it does have a lot of bells and whistles.
And when you started managing it yourself, did you also notice that there was a change in the quality of the guests you are getting versus the ones you are getting back with the property manager?
Not really, because I didn't know anything about the guests that I was getting with the property manager. Like, there was just no transparency at all. So there was, issues that were going on that I wasn't even aware of. But I found a cleaning company, and I had to kind of outsource, all that and manage it. So I'm still in the process of really automating everything so I could be extremely hands off. But right now, I've got a VA that does all the communication with the guests. A cleaning company gets all of their schedules via the Guesty automation. And then I really just handle anything that has to do with like issues, stuff that's broken, stolen, ruined, anything like that.
Okay, I get it. And when you hired that property manager, do you think like you made a mistake when you like filtered her or them? And if you ever try to hire again another property management company, do you think you're going to do a little bit of more through research before?
Well, I would never hire a property manager for long-term rentals, regardless of it. I don't think they take care of your property like you do. They don't inspect them. They don't treat it as if it were their own. So I've never used a property manager for long-term rentals. The reason that I decided to go with one for short-term is because there's a lot more moving parts. There's cleaning, there's communication with guests, and I have other businesses, so I didn't really want to deal with it. But then once I was looking at the numbers, I knew something was not right. You know, we weren't making what we should have been making, and the reporting just wasn't good. So I don't know if it was just a case of bad reporting, lack of data, or if it was actually like a theft. So I'll probably never use a manager again.
Yeah, I completely get it. I completely get it. But your bad experience with this property manager is actually, I don't regularly hear about other people having these troubles when they hire a property manager. Did you get to hear, like after your experience, did you ask and find out that other people were getting like the same problem as you?
Well, in terms of long-term rentals, property managers, nobody has a very good reputation. It's kind of well known that property managers just don't look out for your place. Now, in terms of short-term, um, they're very, very expensive, and they run the gamut. So, it's just I find it very easy to run it myself with you when you have the right softwares in place. And to me, it's not worth 20-25% of my revenue when it's something that I can just pay, a couple $100 a month for software to automate it for me.
That's right. That's right. I get it. And can you tell me, if you don't mind sharing this, how much were you getting with that property manager while they were like managing your property? And how much are you actually making now that you are managing it yourself?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. The property that I have that's next to an amusement park here in Tampa, I was getting about $1,700 a month from the property manager, and now I'm getting $3,700 a month renting it myself.
That's a really, really big difference, right?
Yeah.
A little bit suspicious, right?
Yes.
I see now. So it was a pretty bad experience that you had with this one property manager. I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell me a little bit about your market? You told me that one of your rentals is near an amusement park. And what about the other ones? You have like three more, if I'm not wrong, right?
I have 6 total. So I'm in the Tampa, Florida market. So our market is very touristy vacation location, except for the summer. The summer is kind of our downtime because it's extremely hot. So I have one near Busch Gardens, and I have 4 near Ybor City, which is a historic area that's full of like nightclubs and restaurants and kind of like a Bourbon Street type place. And then I have one that's by a Air Force base that I rent out quite a bit on a short-term rental as well.
And for all of those listings, are you getting really like different numbers when it comes to occupancy rate, revenue, demographic of guests?
Yes, absolutely. So that was really eye-opening to me. The 4 of them that I have in the Ybor City market, they're very small. They're just 1 bedrooms, and those are rented nonstop. There's like a 97% occupancy rate on there. And then the larger homes that I have the lower occupancy rate. So I thought it would be the other way around, but the 1 bedrooms do very, very well.
And why do you think it's the reason that the larger ones get lower occupancy rate?
Well, I think the larger ones are being rented mostly by large families or people that are vacationing together, and it's cheaper for them to rent a house together than it is to get like 5 hotel rooms. Whereas a lot of people either travel for business or maybe just couples, they're only wanting a 1 bedroom and they don't want to spend a ton of money on a giant house if they don't need that space.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, I understand. And what is the difference of revenue that you perceive in these different locations?
Well, it's based on the occupancy, really. So, the 1 bedroom apartments that I have, I've got 4 of them, and those are the ones that rent very, very well. So, as a long-term rental, they were only getting like 850 a month when I bought the uh, the building, and now I get about 3,500 a month each apartment. So it's a big, big, big difference.
Yeah, for sure, a big difference. And about the larger ones, if they're not getting like the same amount of the smaller ones, are you thinking, sorry, about getting them to being long-term rentals again?
I'm considering it, but I'm not sure yet because I really would like to cater it more towards corporate housing, which is longer, but not exactly a long-term rental. So I'm
Mhm.
really kind of testing it right now. And this is probably the worst time for me to make a decision because the summertime is our slow time.
Oh, so you're waiting for the high season to start so you can try it
Yeah,
out. I get
exactly.
it. I get it. And with the smaller ones, so you think in the areas you're hosting, those are the ones that work best?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's such a hot market and it's gentrifying. The city's putting a lot of money into that area. So I bought the building in January of 2021 or 20, yeah, 2021. And I've already noticed a huge shift in the money that the city is putting into that area, and the rents have just skyrocketed. I'm also renovating the building too because it was set up as long-term rentals for every unit, and it just
Mhm.
wasn't taken care of very well at all.
Okay, I see now. And can you tell me a little bit about your area? Like what's the high season? What's the low season?
Yeah, so Tampa's high season is basically the fall, all the way to like I would say September, October, all the way to April. And then people kind of stay away for the summers just because it's so hot. So right after spring break is really when it starts to slow down.
And what's the average occupancy rate? I know you've only been alive for 6 months, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But do you have an idea of what's the average occupancy rate in those seasons?
I don't yet. I can't remember what it was when I pulled the reporting off of Price Labs, but my 1 bedrooms were around 94% until it hit our slow period. Now it's a lot slower, but I don't have enough data yet on the bigger houses.
I get it then. One thing that I'd like to ask you about is you recently bought the house, right? So are you able to cover, for example, your mortgage cost with the revenue you're getting from Airbnb?
So I am, with the exception of the one house, the largest one. So that one is the most recent short term rental. I think I put that on the market in February of this year. So it hasn't been that long, and it's it's okay. It's not covering the mortgage yet, but the we've got to get through the summer period for me to be able to make a real evaluation and decision on what I want to do with the house.
I see. So the smaller ones are getting the covering the mortgage.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing then. And for the areas you're hosting in, are there very like competitive markets when it comes to short-term rentals, Airbnb?
Yeah, I think it is because anytime you have a vacation tourist spot like Tampa, you're going to have a lot of Airbnb. So I think there's no regulations here that we have to worry about um, in the city, but I don't feel like it's oversaturated.
But despite the competition that's there, are you still able to perceive like a good amount of revenue? Do you think you're doing good despite of the big amount of short-term rentals in the area?
I do on the apartments and on the smaller house. The
Mhm.
larger one, not so much.
Okay, I get it. That's great. And would you still like recommend people to invest in that area?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, there's a lot of popular areas, like Gatlinburg and the Smoky Mountains and stuff like that. Everybody's kind of going there. I happen to live in Tampa, so that's why I invest here. But if you're in an area where it's not touristy, like the Middle America, you can pick beaches or mountains or anything like that to invest in, and I think it's always going to be a good bet.
Mhm. Yeah, I see. And can you tell me about what's your hosting style?
Everything is automated for us, so we don't like actually meet the person there or anything like that. We're very kind of hands off. We're there if you need us, but I don't want to interrupt them. Um, we do all of our communication through Guesty. We do our inspections before and after cleanings. Everything has door codes and there's cameras outside and all that stuff to kind of monitor our assets, so to speak. So I would say it's very kind of live and let live, very hands off.
Mm-hmm. And do you see that that's working with your guests? Do they like the way it gets managed? They like the communication they get with you and all the stuff?
Yeah, we haven't had any complaints on it. I think when people are on vacation, the last thing that they want is some host like looking down on them and monitoring their every move and all that. And frankly, I don't have time for that, and I'm not interested in it.
Okay, I get it totally. And can you tell me? You told me that everything is automated. So I am I right to assume that your pricing is also automated?
It is.
Mm-hmm. And how did you manage that? Sorry, do you get it like completely automated, or do you like are planning strategies for the slower months? How does it work for you?
Well, we use Price Labs for our pricing and automation, and so far I'm happy with it because the algorithm allows for the slow periods, and then it knows when the high periods are. It knows when there's big events here or anything like that. So it's much easier for us to do it that way.
I see. Yeah, it's actually easier when you automate it that way. That's great.
Mhm.
And what about the challenges that you had so far as an Airbnb host? I know you have a very like big challenge with your property management service, but are there any other particular challenges with, I don't know, maybe the guests, maybe the automation, maybe the Airbnb platform?
The biggest issue that we've had has been with booking.com. And it's been such a terrible experience that we've actually removed our listings from them. So they have no customer support. They don't check credit cards and authorizations before someone checks in. So we have people that haven't even paid, and they could care less. So they don't help you get paid. They don't monitor that type of thing. Then the ones that do put in a credit card, sometimes it's fake, but they don't alert you to it until the person is already checked in. So it's just a really bad platform. And it was something that I learned through the experience. And then once I looked into other people's experiences, everybody seems to be having the same problems with them. So we removed all of our properties from there.
So booking.com is a no for Airbnb short-term rentals.
No way. Don't
Wonderful.
use it. No way.
Okay, I see now. And what about the other platforms? Do you use, for example, VRBO or how do you say these the booking site, the website?
We just use Verbo and Airbnb.
Airbnb. And how has been your experience with VRBO?
Very little. They don't have a high volume of guests that are looking on their platform.
I see. That's right. And how has been your experience with the Airbnb platform so far?
They're okay. I've heard many horror stories about if you have damages or anything, they're almost impossible to collect. So that was one of the reasons why we went with Guesty, because we can make the guests pay for their own insurance, and we can file a claim through Guesty, and we never have to go through Airbnb. So that was one of the reasons that we went with them instead, because we just don't want to deal with Airbnb.
I see now. And Guesty, can you explain a little bit more about how Guesty works in case someone is like listening and would be interested in doing the same as you?
Yeah, so like you pick your coverage. So for like my 1 bedroom apartments, I pick like $2,500 or $5,000 in coverage, and that is $45 for each guest. So I make the guest pay it instead of a security deposit. So they're paying that $45. If I have a claim, I go through Guesty, and Guesty takes care of it with no deductible. So that way I never have to bother Airbnb, and I don't have to deal with their bad service.
Oh, so most of your bookings come through that one platform, Guesty?
Well, the
Or
bookings go through Airbnb and then through Guesty, but Guesty
oh,
insures it.
oh, I see now how it works. Okay, thank you for explaining that to us. And lastly, are there any tips that you'd like to give for other Airbnb hosts?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I've learned, always have like an owner's closet or an owner's locker that's actually locked, that you can store your extra supplies in. Try to buy in bulk and restock, as you need it for, toilet paper, paper towels. I like to have 3 sets of sheets for every single bed, 2 towels per person for each stay, just in case, and then I'll keep extra in the owner's locker. And you just basically have to plan for anything that could possibly happen, because it will happen, and you don't want to be rushing at midnight to try to find a key to get these people in. So I use keyless for everything. And the Guesty monitors that. The automation sends them the combination, so it's virtually hands off.
Okay, yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you for the tips. They are really useful. So that would be it for today. Thank you a lot for your time and for your tips.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.